And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, YSN. And man, I am joined. What an honor, a privilege, and a lifelong dream it is to be joined by two-time Super Bowl champion of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Jeff Reed, legend. Dude, I can't tell you how many times you made me smile in my childhood and going into my adulthood. Thank you so much for everything you've done, not just for the Steelers, but for the sport of football, dude.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on. It's good that I didn't piss you off and break a few of your TVs. I'm sure at one point I might have, but there were way more smiles than those incidents. So thank you for having me.
Oh, dude, I love having you. Obviously, you were one of the Steeler favorites, Pittsburgh favorites for so many years. People still wear your jerseys to what I still refer to as Heinz Field. For you, what's that like to come in and be just a Pittsburgh legend?
Well, it's a great feeling. As soon as you land in the airport, it's a little bit more. It's a little crazier during football season than it is right now. But when you land in the airport, people look at you and they're like, I think that. And then someone gets the nerve to say what's up. And I don't know if they don't want to bother me or if they don't know if it's me. And it happens to all former Steelers and current Steelers.
Sure.
And it's a great feeling because I'll be honest, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and outside of the Julius Peppers, Cam Newton, McCaffrey, Kuechly, nobody knows who those guys are. And if they did, they would probably speak to them, but they just don't know because they don't take football seriously. So it's a great feeling. And, when I get out, and I'm in Ohio now. I was in the South Hills of Pittsburgh last night. I fly home tomorrow, then I'm somewhere else. That's what I like to do that because I'm a true believer in, there's stories about me out there that are funny or stupid or however you want to look at it. Then there's great stories, and I don't think anyone should judge anything until you meet somebody.
Absolutely.
And when you meet somebody, it can be. I like to go as many of these events as I possibly can, so you actually shake a hand and have a small conversation with somebody.
Oh, dude, and people love it. And as someone who kicked in high school on the way up, kickers aren't supposed to have personalities, but you always were one that you were well loved among the players. You had a personality. The blonde hair, I'll never forget. I dyed my hair blonde because you had yours. Talk to me about, what gave you the confidence to kind of stand out in a position that really didn't have it when you were going through?
Well, I played 15 years of soccer, and soccer is my true love, even to this day. Even after playing in the NFL and winning Super Bowls, soccer is my number one sport. I was great at it. I wanted to play on the U.S. team. I knew I was going to, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
I played a lot of travel soccer, a lot of great, higher-up teams, but nothing else really happened. And I ended up walking on to Chapel Hill to play football because I wanted to get my degree from there. I didn't know if anything was going to work out, but I still played intramural soccer.
Yeah.
Just because I couldn't let it go. But once you have a chance to play, you kind of have to let it go because if you get hurt doing that, you feel like a fool. But I don't. Going back to your question. Well, tell me your
personality.
question again,
about the personality.
Yes, I don't know. I've always been a class clown, but I've always been the smart class clown.
Okay.
I got all the good grades, so I had a little bit of leniency with teachers to act up a little bit.
Build that rapport.
They didn't like it all. But as long as I did my work and did it efficiently, they usually didn't care, so I carried that over. Most kickers, most goalies in hockey, I don't know about the other sports very well, but I do. They always say you're kind of to yourself. You sit in the corner, you don't talk, you're weird, however you want to describe it. I don't believe in that. I'm eccentric. I say what's on my mind, sometimes too much, and I don't know. I get it from my mother. She's pretty outgoing, and she pretty much lets you know how she feels, and I'm the same way.
2 Super Bowl championships, 40, 43. 40s under Cowher, 43s under Tomlin. What were the cultures like? Was it different in the locker room under each head coach, or was there similarities?
There's similarities, but it was very different when Coach Tomlin came in. Not because he did something wrong. He just probably didn't know just quite yet how our culture was.
Yeah.
He coached numerous years at numerous different coaching jobs and different schools and different teams and everything. So obviously, considering he's been here for a long time now, he knows what he's doing. But when you come in and we're used to Coach Cowher's, even though you saw Coach Cowher with the scowl and you saw him spit on people like me, and even though you saw that, he was laid back. If you did your job and we were winning, he was laid back. People don't see that and they don't believe it because he's so intense. Game day, though, you don't want to get near him unless you did something great, because he'll let you know how he truly feels and then he'll apologize after the game. But so that's what he built. And then, Coach Tomlin came in, younger dude, I mean, shoot, he and James Ferrier were the same age,
Oh man.
or basically the same age
Yeah.
when towards the end of James' career. And it wasn't. We didn't know. None of us expected Coach Tomlin to get the job. I mean, in the locker room, the talk was Bruce Arians, Russ Grimm, Ken Wisenhunt. It was one of the coordinators, and that didn't happen, which is fine. It's not our choice. And Coach Tomlin comes in, and we're in full pads in week 16, and the dudes are like, "What's wrong with this guy, man? Like, we're not used to this. We know how to play football." And I don't think he was trying to prove a point. I just don't think he knew exactly what the Steelers' culture was.
Yeah.
And I mean, because trust me, no matter what week it was or how good or bad we were doing, before we played the Ravens, we were in full pads all week.
Yeah.
Because I already knew it was a bloodbath.
Yep.
And I know it's coming from a kicker, but shoot, I got hit too.
Yeah.
But but he learned real quickly that when we got in the playoffs his first year and stunk it up, he learned very, very quickly that, okay, this is what these guys are used to. This is what I'm going to do because I'm in charge. Let's find a happy medium. And then, I mean, I love Coach Tomlin. I love Coach Cowher. I mean, very, very different coaches, but very great coaches, both of them.
And there's been an evolution of obviously the Steelers over the years, but the stadium. I mean, these guys now, I mean, you look at what Boz has been able to do, but he didn't have to kick in the conditions that you necessarily had to kick in. So I think I know the answer to this one. What was the worst weather game that you ever had to do at Heinz Field?
Well, going back to your first comment, and I don't take anything away from anyone. Boswell has done fantastic, and he continues to go to the Pro Bowl, and that's not an easy thing to do whether you're kicking in Florida or Pittsburgh. It's just not easy because you have to stay healthy and you have to kick great all the time. And when you're in Pittsburgh, if the kicker didn't make a field goals, you're not going to win a lot of games.
No, right.
Because sometimes they forget how to get in the end zone, and that's why we get paid. But what I'm saying, when I started, Heinz Field I started in 2002. Heinz Field was the second year.
Yeah.
I think it started either in 2000 or 2001, and I mean it was mud, and I maybe complained to like my family or a couple teammates that agreed with me. But I didn't. I'm not going to make excuses.
Yeah.
I miss. I make them. Congratulations to me, But it was very, very tough. And outside of the wind and rain and sleet and all that fun stuff, I mean, on a perfectly sunny day, it was muddy. So I had to find a way to stand up. I mean, I came from Chapel Hill, Bermuda grass, golf greens. I'm kicking in soccer shoes.
Yeah.
I won't slip unless it's a downpour or something. Coming here, it could be a beautiful day and you could slip. Now, they figured that part out. The field's fantastic. From what I see on TV and when I'm actually there on the field, a couple times a year, and they built the stadium up a little bit, so it's still windy, it still gets cold, there's still weather conditions, and you still have to make your field goals. But as I tell everybody, I can tell this to a million people, but they don't put an asterisk next to your stats and say, well, he kicked in the mud.
Right.
So really, that doesn't even matter. But I think that one of the toughest kicks, well, I mean, the easiest one to say is the Mud Bowl.
I knew it.
I mean,
The Miami game?
Yeah, I mean, it was pathetic. We should have never played that game, and it was evident.
You were the dude, though, right? 3-0.
3-0. Only one scored.
That was it.
Yeah, 27-yarder at the end of the game, and I don't know how it worked out like that, but it was actually a place to put the football and stand.
Wow.
And by the way it took off my foot, you could tell that. But I had attempted one in the first quarter, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like my plant foot was halfway underground. I just kicked mud in part of the ball. Luckily, they didn't return it for a touchdown because that would probably cost us the game.
Yeah.
But Tomlin asked me before the game, "What are you thinking?" And I said, "Just give me 10 opportunities. I'll make the one that counts." And he goes, "Fair enough." And the other kicker was Jay Feely.
Yeah.
And he was a friend of mine. He came over and he said, "I told my coach I'm not kicking."
Really?
And I said, if I told my coach that, he'd probably cut me right on the spot.
Yeah.
And I said, so I just told him I'd kick 10 and go 1 for 10, and hopefully we win. And, I went 1 for 2 or 1 for 3, and we won. So, ultimately, you don't worry about stats in that situation. You come away with a W.
We talked to some quarterbacks, obviously, and just the NFL has changed. It's shifted. You pass heavy, all that. It's starting to go back to the run. But nobody talks about special teams in the kicking game. And I think you kind of helped lead the way for some of these unbelievable names we're hearing now. Everybody talks about, Tucker being the GOAT and Butker and all these other ones. For you, do you see this too, the evolution of the kicking game and how important special teams is, especially down the stretch?
Yeah, I actually feel personally that being a kicker, I know how important it is.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you there's times I missed a very important kick and we won the game, thank God, because our offense or defense came through, or
Yeah.
both. And there's times when the offense and defense were not coming through and I hit a game winner. And, so that's how this works. That's how this business works. But I feel like the value of the kicker has gone down. I truly do. These kickoffs are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't even want to get into that because I watch it and I'm like, want to puke. Because I just can't understand why in the world you just don't. I mean, if you're going to do that, just tell them they got to start on the 20.
Yeah.
And, and if you don't want punters, just tell them they got to go for fourth down every time. And then we'll see what kind of game it is.
Yeah.
But that's the sad part about it because as a kicker saying this, it's going to sound funny, but I played when it was real football. These dudes are still knocking the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
So it's real football, but there's a bunch of divas. There's people that, as soon as they get their big money, they're done, or they're on the field, but they're done. They get their stats, they're fine. And then you got people that truly, truly care, and they're on teams that will never win a thing. So it's hard to balance. Like for an Aaron Rodgers to play with a 21-year-old today, he probably gets it, but he's probably thinking like, this guy has no idea. Because it's just different. I only played 10 years, and 10 years is a long time, but I didn't play 20. And, so it's just one of those things where if you look at the differences from, I haven't played in, 14 years, and it seems like kind of yesterday, except for the fact that when I wake up, it's hard to walk every morning. But yeah, so I just, it's just a different era. It's a different game. And I just hate it. It's just like comparing Michael Jordan and LeBron James. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
Yes, they're both great basketball players, but you can't compare those two guys.
You got to be a Jordan guy, right?
I'm a huge Jordan guy.
I got to say, you're a Carolina guy. You got to be Jordan.
He is absolutely not the nicest guy in the world, but he is the most athletic person I've seen, and he's my favorite athlete of all time. I can't lie.
All right, so you're in that Steelers locker room, either one of the years that you win the Super Bowl. Talk to me about the culture of it. From your teammates, was it kick back, laid back, party, or was it lined up? You had Debo on both of those teams, right? So
yeah.
what was that like?
Just the culture in general.
Yeah, just culture in general.
Yeah, no, it was great. Literally, there were no outcasts, none. Some of the family guys that had kids and this and that, they practice, they watch film, they go home.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But there's also those same guys would say, hey, Jeff, man, my wife's making dinner. You want to come over?
Yeah.
And, that's a super nice thing to ask. They're in Wexford. I'm at some dinky apartment because I don't have any money yet. And I'm like, heck yeah, man, just give me your address. And, but that's – and then, for whatever reason, I always hung with the linebackers and tight ends. Obviously the punter and long snapper, easily I would. But, I don't know why those groups. I always hung in the offensive line. Whenever we were throwing parties, it was me. It was him, them, and I.
Yeah.
And it was just I bring a different. I'm eccentric, so I bring something to the table that most people don't, and it's not me bragging on myself. I'm just a different person, and so it's not like there's some guys that be like, well, if he doesn't go out with us, that's okay because all he's going to do is sit in the corner.
Yeah,
you knew that, but the culture was fantastic. The culture that has been built, I guess, since 1933 here, it shows, and it was sad, probably. I don't know. I want to say 3 years ago, but I might be off a little bit. When I walked into the locker room, and I didn't know anybody really on the team. You had a group over here messing around. You had a group over here, and then the rest of them were just on their phones. And it was probably a break from after practice, or actually it was they didn't have practice, but it was probably a break from meetings or something. But it was like we used to be down there like doing ping pong.
Ping pong, yep.
Shooting baskets like into the trash can with who knows what the hell we used to use. I forgot. But we're gambling on it with each other and talking smack but that little stuff adds up to huge victories on the field.
Yeah.
Because 3 days ago, I had somebody in a chokehold because they beat me in a basketball game in a trash can in the locker room, and this guy, and then 2 seconds later they see me hit a game winner and they're like, man, you know, that's the culture. That's the culture we built, and that's the culture that was built before us.
That's incredible. Let's shift gears. Pat McAfee, one of my heroes, you know, on and off the field, doing a lot in media, killing it right now. Have you ever thought about kind of going down the media path and jumping in that with all the success you've had on the field?
Yeah, you know, I do a lot of these things. I do a lot of other people's podcasts. I did my own podcast for a year, and I didn't really have much guidance. I just did it.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life after football, so I'm going to do this. And it was great, but I put $8,000 into it. I made $10,000, so I profited $2,000 for a year.
Yep.
And is that a profit? It is, but it's a lot of work, as you know.
Yep.
I mean, you have to be prepared. You got to come up with questions. You got to come up. If you're the person you're interviewing sucks, you got to be great.
Yep.
If the person you're interviewing is great, you got to be easy. You know, so it was those kind of. And I had, other than my teammates, I had like Ryan Lochte and, you know, all these guys on there that were, you know, famous swimmers and famous country artists, and because I had connections.
Yep.
So I was telling someone the other day, actually a minute ago, they said, you could do the way you're talking to some of these people, you could do that Pat McAfee show, and I said I could. I said, however, he started at Barstool Sports in college. I didn't know that it may have existed when I was in college. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I also, you know, graduated in 2001, so I don't know if it was around yet.
Yeah.
It probably was, but I didn't know anything about it. That's where he started. So he's a crazy dude. He's a funny dude. I know Pat, but you know, but he now he's making $300 million doing his show, and then College Game Day and WWE. So I mean, great for him. You know, he earned that, and you know, he's set for life. But it's a lot of work.
Yep.
I mean, he doesn't. They don't just hand him a paycheck and say thank you. Like he works.
You got to hustle.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, last question for you. We're a small sports streaming company. We do high school sports all the way down to the Pee-wees. For those kids that are, especially kickers, special teams, there's a lot of kickers, soccer players that are kickers in high school. What would you tell them? What advice would you give them if they're looking to play at the next level or big kick coming up? What things would you tell them to focus on?
You know, I coach some kickers. I own a sports bar back in Charlotte, North Carolina, so my coaching has been limited lately because I'm an operating partner and the GM, and if you're not there, you know how that goes.
Trouble,
Yeah. Hey, which right now, who knows what's happening? I'll check the cameras here in about 10 minutes.
That a boy?
Yeah. But no, so you know, it's easy to say follow your dreams and all the fun stuff and all the cliches, but my biggest thing, especially if I'm talking to a kicker or a specialist or anyone really, because even though we only have limited times on the field in these areas and these positions, everyone, if you can strengthen your mentality more than just your skill set, you'll be successful.
Don't be soft.
Don't be soft. Like if you miss a kick, you know what? It ruined my day after the game.
Yeah.
It did. I don't care if we won 42-2. I mean, yeah, I do care because that's the ultimate goal. But if I went 3 for 4, I thought about that one kick that I should have made it 45-2. You know, and so the thing is, and especially with the world we live in now, it doesn't even matter if you play a sport. If you don't have a strong mentality, you're not going to last.
Agreed.
I mean, if you listen to the wrong person, if you follow the wrong groups, if you, it's easy to go down the wrong path, and it's super tough to go down the right one. And so the easiest thing is surround yourself with great people and build your mentality. So, yes, I mean, a death in the family, a pet passing away, or you're putting down, or a friend passing away, those are gonna drain you.
Yeah.
I mean, it just does. That's human. But if somebody calls you a name, who cares? Keep it moving.
Yeah. If
you miss a kick, who cares? You drop a pass, who cares? I mean, yeah, you care. And you should care. If you don't care, it's a problem. But how are you gonna bounce back?
Yeah.
And that goes for life. So if you mess up or you're around the wrong people, how do you bounce back in life?
Yeah.
And it's the same. It goes for sports.
I appreciate it, man. Jeff, lifelong dream come true. Thank you so much for coming to Austintown. Thank you for sitting with us. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for everything you did and all those joys that you brought to Steeler Nation.
Yeah,
brother.
absolutely, man. Thank you.
We'll be back right after this.